Thank you, Jessica. Good morning to everyone tuning in to our online service this morning. Welcome to those on Zoom and on YouTube. Welcome to this Sunday program, which is a joint service today of the Universalist Unitarian Church in Halifax and the Neighborhood UU Congregation of Toronto. Welcome, everyone. Today, we're celebrating our annual Flower Communion service. My name is Norm Harofker, and I'm proud to say that I'm the minister of the Halifax congregation, and I got dressed up a little bit for today, kind of like a flower for Flower Communion. I hope that members of the neighborhood congregation and I can briefly tell a little about our history for you. First, here in Halifax, we were founded in 1837. And as this slide shows, we've had a number of homes. Paul, do you have that? There we go. Thank you. Those are the various buildings that we've occupied over the years here in Halifax. And here's a picture of our present location where we have been since 1960. It's a beautiful old house on English Street. It's actually the second oldest house in the south end of Halifax, built the original part of the building, which is our sanctuary now, built in 1823. We're a congregation of about 90 adults and 15 children. So that's a little bit of an introduction to who we are here in Halifax. I now invite Moira McDonald to introduce us to the neighborhood church in Toronto.
Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Reverend Norm and everybody in Halifax. Thank you very much for having us, hosting us for your Flower Communion. It's really delightful to join with our Unitarian Universalist sisters and brothers on the East Coast. I actually have been to your English Street location. I've been in service with you. My last name kind of gives it away, McDonald. I do have Nova Scotian background, although I was raised here in Toronto. And I have a very soft spot in my heart for Reverend Norm, because he officiated over my mother's interment of her ashes in Bridgeville, Nova Scotia 9 years ago. And I think it was one of the first things that he did when he came to be your minister was drive out to rural Nova Scotia, where even I get lost, and officiate for that. So fond memories and fondness for your congregation. Yeah, neighborhood Unitarian Universalist congregation is a little bit younger than yours. We were founded in, I hope I get this right, I think it's 2000, so we're just over 20 years old. I believe we're one of the youngest congregations, or we are the youngest in the Greater Toronto area. We spent most of our history in a building on in a residential area in East Toronto. And before the pandemic happened, we already had plans to sell that building and move into a new location. Then the pandemic hit and we still had to sell our building, work out terms with our new roommates in a new faith building, move, and then renovate in a new location. So there were a lot of things happening over the last year for neighborhood. So we actually have not been able to be in service with one another in our new location, and we really, really look forward to that. Our partners, we're very excited that we're in a multi-faith community now that we call the Danforth Multi-Faith Commons, and we join with Eastminster United and the Danforth Jewish Circle. And so these three partners together, we hope to do many different things together, sharing in our face in different kinds of actions. We've already been engaged with some social action activities that we can do online and offline where it permits. And we're really, really looking forward to all the new opportunities, many of them yet unknown, for us to work and learn together. We're sorry that our minister, the Reverend Wayne Walder, can't be with you today. He's on a well-earned summer sabbatical. He is also our founder. I send regards from Reverend Wayne to all of you, and I know he has spent time in your location as well. So thank you again for hosting us today.
Thank you very much, Moira. Exciting times. I can hardly wait to visit you in your new location when we can travel again. Here in Halifax, Jessica Friesen is our music director. Marie-Claude Leroux is our director of religious exploration. Marie-Claude isn't with us this morning because she bravely led an overnight camping trip for UU families to Kejimkujik Park on Saturday night. And we'll get a full report next weekend. But the weather was good, so hopefully they had a wonderful time. Despite the pandemic, none of the families backed out at the last minute, and so they would have had a great adventure, I'm sure. Paul Galbraith is our our technical director and technician this morning, and I want to thank you all for your parts in the service today. During the service today, the chat function will be open. And I invite you to extend our hospitality by saying hello to anyone that you don't recognize or by leaving a message for us. If you're not receiving notifications from our church and you would like to, please just send an email to me, minister@uuch.ca, and we'll add you to our listserv, and you'll get 2 or 3 official announcements each week of activities here at the church. Before we proceed, I have a few announcements. First of all, I'd like to say you can't do Flower Communion Sunday without a bouquet of flowers in the sanctuary. And today the flowers are standing in for all of you, held at bay by the pandemic. The flowers are courtesy of the South End florist, just down the street here on Linda Street with Hannah and Helene. And they graciously donated them to us today. Now, the order of service for today was sent out on UU Info on Saturday evening, late Saturday evening. I apologize for that, but I will mention a few of those announcements, but you're encouraged to read them all. There are a number of team meetings coming up this week. The caring team will meets on the 3rd Tuesday of each month, which is Tuesday of next week at 7 p.m. with team lead Sylvia Mattinson. The climate crisis team meets the 3rd Wednesday of each month, but this month has been moved to the 4th Wednesday, June 23rd. The team lead there is Margaret Galbraith. The Saturday brunch team meets the 3rd Friday of each month, which will be June the 18th at 1 p.m. here at the Sanctuary. Hopefully by Thursday, so for the Friday meeting, we can have up to 10 people gathered indoors. Father's Day service. So next Sunday is Father's Day, June 20th. That's our Father's Day service. And you're invited to contribute any and all of the following. A picture of your father or a father figure in your life. If you contribute a favorite song of your father's, Jessica is putting together a special medley for Father's Day. So you can challenge her with some interesting Father's Day music. I already have. And lastly, if you'd like to contribute your favorite dad joke, that'll be part of the service. Actually, the service is going to be about the nature of dad jokes and what that tells us about a father's role in a family. So if you'd like to submit a dad joke that I or someone else might read, that would be fine. If you would like to read a dad joke that you remember from your father, that would be even better. So you can contact me for any of those contributions. There's an announcement about the Nova Scotia Sustainable Development Goals And our climate crisis team encourages members and friends in our community to participate in the Nova Scotia government's sustainable development goals via the Clean Foundation by visiting their website at www.cleanfutures.ca. And I think Leslie will be mentioning that a little later in the service. Today, following the service at noon, there will be a special presentation with Professor Lars Osberg. He'll be presenting his thoughts on electric vehicles and climate change based on his experience operating a hybrid electric vehicle, a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle here in Nova Scotia. So that will start at 12 o'clock. It's the same link. If you just leave your computer on following the service, you can join. You should be able to sign out and sign back in again if you prefer to do that. And our guests from the neighborhood church are welcome to participate in that presentation. And lastly, a lot of people have been asking me about our 8th principle and where that process stands. We will be scheduling congregational discussions about that proposal in the months ahead. You're invited to read more. In fact, we encourage everyone to read more, get familiar with the background for that principle. And I didn't put a link, as I see now. I don't think I put a link in the order of service, but there will be more information coming out from our Dismantling Racism team and our Truth, Healing and Reconciliation team. So watch for that on UU Info. Now I invite you to sit back and relax as Jessica presents our prelude.
Summertime is coming, and the trees are sweetly blooming, and the long mountain thyme grows around the blooming heather. Will he go? I see go, and we'll all go together to pull a mountain thyme all around the blooming heather. Will he go? I see go.
Each week at this time, we pause to acknowledge that we are on the unceded land of the Mi'kmaq peoples, and to acknowledge this responsibility to the land and to its people. Today, Leslie Robinson from our climate justice team has a message for us all. Over to you, Leslie.
Yes, good morning, everyone. In acknowledging that Nova Scotia is the traditional and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people, I'd like to make a connection with our climate future, because it's quite clear that many indigenous nations do recognize the importance of the 7th generation principle. This is where the decisions we make today should result in a sustainable world for 7 generations into the future. What does that actually mean? It means leaving a clean planet for our great, 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 great grandchildren. I hope you got that. In other words, a very long time. And I'm sure we would all like to leave such a legacy for the future. But how do we do it? Well, in Nova Scotia right now, we have an opportunity to contribute to such a future because the provincial government is asking for public input into their goals for sustainable development. a big title, which actually means, I think, an economy in harmony with nature, which of course we're not right now. So this is an opportunity for everyone to participate, and everyone can register their opinion in Nova Scotia by email, by snail mail, by phone. All these options are there, but July 26th is the deadline. So it's time to do our homework and to register our opinion. And the whole process is being organized by Clean Foundation in charge of the public consultation. So if I could have slide 5, here we are. Thank you, Paul. Here's the way we begin. If you go to this website, which is also printed in the order of service today, so if you don't have a chance to write this down, you can go to the order of service and find it there. But if we go to this website for cleanfuture.ca, and that's where you can find lots of information about the decisions that we need to make. And it's also where you can register to participate in virtual workshops. I think there's about 6 of them altogether. One's already been held, but there are 5 more to come, which I think is probably one of the best ways to get the full background of all that's being considered. So please take a note that the next virtual workshop will be on Tuesday, June 22nd, from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. when the topic will be cleaner energy. And of course, that's very important if we are to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions. Professor Lars Orsberg's presentation today on electric vehicles is just one example of how we need to change our energy use. So that's the 22nd of June at 6:30. Now, through the website, of course, you can register for all the workshops, including this one. And so the climate crisis team encourages everyone to go to that website, register, and find out all you can and be ready to give your opinion. Let your voice be heard for building a clean future for at least the next 7 generations.
Thank you, Leslie. And thank you to the climate crisis team for the great work that they're doing. And I know they always have a chair available for anyone else who would like to join that group. And now I have a brief message from the board of the church here in Halifax. Our guests in the neighborhood church in Toronto are excused while we get this message from the board to our members and friends here in Halifax. We have much to be grateful for this morning. Many of us have received our first vaccinations. Some of us just got a notice yesterday saying we could get our second vaccination moved up by a month. The third wave is receding. Summer's almost here and promising to be much more normal than last summer. We have lots to be grateful for. And we're grateful for this congregation, which continues to think of others even during this difficult time. Your pledges are funding our programs and our staff salaries, and your unpledged donations have kept our Saturday brunch and food box programs going. In fact, the minister's discretionary fund, which fills the food box, is ample at this time. If you're relatively new here and would like to contribute to the church's operating costs or the Sunday brunch, Saturday brunch, that would be great. If you're an old faithful, a donation is always appreciated. Either can be done by e-transfer to treasurer@uuch.ca or by check mailed to the church address, which is on this slide. Thank you, Paul. And now I'll light the chalice here in the sanctuary. Maybe for the last time when we don't have anyone here. We're hoping that by next Sunday, we can have a small group of people assembled. I light the chalice with these words. Help us to be always hopeful gardeners of the Spirit, who know that without darkness, nothing comes to birth, and without light, nothing flowers. And now Jessica will lead us in a very appropriate hymn for the flower communion service. Jessica.
So let us sing De Colores. It's number 305. Words will be on the screen like always. Please sing along with me. All the colors, yes, the colors we see in the springtime with all of the flowers. All the colors, when the sunlight shines out through a rift in the clouds and the showers. All the colors, as a rainbow appears when a storm clouds are touched by the sun. All the colors are bound for the whole world around and for everyone under the sun. All the colors, yes, the colors of people parading on by with their banners. All the colors, yes, the colors of pennants and streamers and plumes and bandanas. All the colors, yes, the colors of people now taking their place in the sun. All the colors are bound for the whole world around and for everyone under the sun. All the colors, yes, the black and the white and the red and the brown and the yellow. All the colors of people who smile and shake hands and say hello. All the colors, yes, the colors of people who know what their freedom is won. All the colors are bound for the whole world around and for everyone under the sun. Thank you, everyone. You sound lovely.
Thank you. As I noted in the welcoming remarks, our wonderful Director of Religious Exploration, Marie-Claude Leroux, is not with us for this service because she's just led a camping trip to our young families in Kejimkujik Park. I don't know, they're probably still in the park, I hope, enjoying the morning. But Marie-Claude did select a video for the Time for Children of All Ages that tells the story of the origins of the Flower Communion service. The video was prepared by Lisa Earl Centers, the Director of Lifespan Spiritual Exploration at the Unitarian Church of Montpelier, Vermont.
Come with me as we travel to Prague, Czechoslovakia, in Europe, the year 1923. There was a Unitarian church. Now, the building did not look at all like our church. In fact, it did not look like a church at all. It did not have a tall steeple reaching toward the sky like some churches do. It did not have massive doors carved of wood or windows of stained glass. It did not have a chalice, a piano, or flowers. The church had walls, a ceiling, a floor, a door, a few windows, and some hard wooden chairs. But thankfully, the church had people who came every Sunday, and they were the most important part of the church, because without people, any church is just a building, no matter how tall its steeple. The people of Prague had been through hard times. They had just recently been through 4 years of war. Many people in Prague had been divided about the war. Many had lost loved ones or had been hungry or scared. And even though the war had ended, many bad feelings still remained. The church also had a minister. His name was Norbert Chapek. Reverend Chapek had been the minister of this church for 2 years. Every Sunday he spoke to the people and they listened, sitting quietly on those hard wooden chairs. When he finished speaking, the people talked a little bit among themselves, and then they went home. And that was all. No music, no candles, no food. Now, Reverend Chapek, he was a thinker, and he wondered sometimes if there might be something, perhaps just a little something more spiritual. He wrote some songs and the people sang them, and it helped, but something was still missing. The church went on as before. One spring morning near the end of May, as Reverend Chapek was out for a walk, he noticed the birds singing and the flowers blooming and felt the sunshine on his face. How beautiful the world is! And then an idea came to him. The next Sunday, he asked all the people of the church to bring a flower or a budding branch to church the next week. Each person was to bring one. What kind? They asked. What color? What size? You choose, he said. Each of you choose what you like. And so the next Sunday, which felt like the first day of summer, the people came with flowers of all different colors and sizes and kinds. There were yellow and white daisies and red roses, blue asters, dark-eyed pansies, grape hyacinth, pink and purple, orange and gold, all the colors of the rainbow and more. Children helped arrange them and bring them forward to the front of the church. Flowers filled all the vases, and beauty filled their hearts. The church wasn't so plain anymore. They had created beauty together. Reverend Chapek spoke to the people, and they listened, sitting quiet and still in those hard wooden chairs. Those flowers are like us, he said, different colors, different shapes, and different sizes, each needing different kinds of care, but each beautiful, important, and special in its own way. He said a blessing of the flowers, which called for everyone in the room to see one another as family, despite differences, and to let the spirit of love unite them and help them live more joyfully. He invited each person to take a flower home with them when they left, a different flower than what they had brought. And when the service ended that day, the people turned and talked a little bit more among themselves. And maybe there was some laughter. And then they each chose a flower from the vases before they left and took it home as a gift from their church family. And each year at the start of summer, they did this again.
It's a wonderful story from our heritage to hear once a year at our flower communion service. Norbert Čapek founded the Unitarian movement in Czechoslovakia. But before we begin our joys and sorrows portion of the service, I want to acknowledge that the story of the origin of the flower communion has its joy and its deep, deep sorrow. The sadness is the realization that Norbert Čapek was arrested by the Nazis for his beliefs, and he died in the Dachau concentration camp. The story of the flower communion was brought to North America by his wife who survived him. And now, Jessica will assist me as we take this special time to reflect on our joys and sorrows. It's a sacred time in our service. It's a time that we set apart to honor the many sorrows and many joys that you, the congregation, are living, and to acknowledge the mutual support of our community. Across this country, people are mourning for the Muslim family brutally attacked in London, Ontario, 1 week ago today, while they were out for an evening walk. These are the deceased. Medea Salman, aged 44. Salman Afzal, aged 46. Yamana Afzal, aged 15. And Talat Afzal, age 74. The youngest member of that family, Fayez, age 9, remains in hospital in serious condition. We have much work to do to end racism in this country. An attack like this in London is just the very tip of a huge poisonous iceberg that we have much work to do to eliminate. I would normally be lighting candles now to acknowledge the personal joys and sorrows of this congregation, but this morning I'd like Jessica to light 5 candles, one for each member of that family. Thank you, Jessica. Later, when we at the end of the service and before the coffee hour begins, I'll invite anyone else to share a joy or a sorrow and have a candle lit if they would like to do so. Because of the program following the service immediately, we're going to leave the live streaming up on YouTube. So just be aware that if you're sharing a joy or sorrow, it is going out on YouTube as well. Later, we'll be deleting that from our recorded version on YouTube. And now Jessica will present a reflective hymn, the title of which is Building Bridges. When Jessica and I selected this piece, we were thinking of the bridge that we're building today between our congregations here in Halifax and in Toronto. But events in the past week make this hymn even more appropriate as we struggle to build bridges between ethnic, religious, and racialized people. Jessica?
Building bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Sing this with me, please. Building bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Friends, we could make such sweet harmony.
May the joys and sorrows, both those acknowledged here this morning and those held in the silent sanctuaries of our hearts, weave us together in the interdependent fabric of community. And now I invite Peter Marmarek of the neighborhood congregation to deliver a reading for us to set the stage for my reflection on flowers. Peter's reading will be followed by a parade of flowers that members of the UUCH and the neighborhood church sent to me for this service, all digitally. This is your time for meditation as you relax and enjoy the poetry and the floral gifts of the music that come to us this time of year. Peter.
This is a poem by Mary Oliver, who's sometimes called the poet of Unitarians, not that she herself was, but that her poems so well celebrate the interdependent web of all being. The poem is called Roses. Everyone now and again wonders about those questions that have no ready answers. First cause, God's existence. What happens when the curtain goes down and nothing stops it? Not kissing, not going to the mall, not the Super Bowl. Wild roses, I said to them one morning. Do you have the answer? And if you do, would you tell me? The roses laughed softly. Forgive us, they said. But as you can see, we are just now entirely busy being roses.
You may want to take a deep breath. I've entitled my reflection this morning, Learning from the Flowers. It's my hope that this morning you've lifted your focus from issues of pandemic restrictions and being able to celebrate the beauty that surrounds us at this time of year and the bursting forth of the flowers, for they know not of COVID-19. Shakespeare wrote in his play, King John, to gild refined gold, to paint the lily, to throw perfume on the violet, to smooth the ice, or add another hue to the rainbow, or with a taper light to seek the beauteous eye of heaven to garnish, is wasteful and ridiculous excess. And I'm not sure that I can add more to the service this morning. I can gild the lily when you've seen those beautiful flowers. You've heard the story again of Norbert Chapek, and you've seen the many pictures gathered of the glorious flowers. You've heard the poetry of Mary Oliver, and you've heard our own hymns. So this morning I'll be brief. It can be easy to overlook the beauty that surrounds us. Many of us are spending more time indoors than we would like to because of COVID-19. And our time outdoors is largely going from A to B as quickly as possible with as few interactions as we can manage. I'd like to think that the invitation to take some pictures of flowers was a welcome opportunity to pay attention to the short-lived glory of spring. and glorious it is. Flowers are everywhere, from the carefully tended flower beds to the old rhododendron bushes that yield their bounty without so much care, to the dandelions and the buttercups and the other volunteer flowers that grow from every available patch of soil. Flowers represent an interesting calculated gamble on the part of nature. For a short time, they stand out from the background, a condition that can put them at risk of injury. Camouflage is more common in nature than is the extravagant display of color and scent. But the flowering plant is incomplete without attracting the pollinators that it needs if it is to fulfill its purpose in life. It's said that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. One of those pictures that went by quite quickly was a beautiful purple flower, if I remember correctly, with a honeybee hovering close by. I find it interesting that the qualities that attract a honeybee with its 5 eyes, including 2 large multifaceted compound eyes, a honeybee with a different perception of color and smell. I mean, who really knows what the world appears to a honeybee? Yet the same beauty that attracts me to a flower attracts the honeybee and the hummingbird and the innumerable other creatures. We're all part of the beauty of the world, and we each have a responsibility to cultivate our appreciation of beauty in its many forms. And we have a responsibility to make our lives a thing of beauty, lives that attract people to us, like a beautiful flower. The Reverend Alan Deal has written, "We know that flowers are a gift of grace, softening the harsh edges of reality. They invite us to seek the beauty in each moment. They encourage us to find fulfillment in life and in the living of it. They remind us that nothing is forever, that each moment with its beauty and fulfillment passes on into another moment with gifts to be discovered and savored. One cannot keep the moment any more than one can keep the flower. One can only rejoice and give thanks for the grace that makes this world our home, a setting of beauty and delight where we too may be lived by life with nothing to gain, nothing to lose, and nothing to prove." Here ends the quote. The variety of flowers that were gathered digitally and brought to the service today are meant to represent the beauty and the diversity of the people who make up our congregations. And it's a lovely and an apt metaphor. For each of you contributes your unique beauty to our congregations. For a moment now, I invite you, if you haven't already done so, to switch your display to gallery view and just take in the variety and the beauty of the faces of those sharing our time together. Be aware that others will be looking at your beautiful face and knowing that you can light it up like a flower if you smile your best smile. I'll return with some brief concluding remarks after the interlude, which has been provided by the Spirit Choir of the neighborhood UU congregation. The piece is entitled Primavera. And primavera is a word that in Italian, at least one definition is the best part of a person's life, usually early middle age, the spring season of the year between winter and summer, when plants begin to flower.
Primavera, la primavera, we give thanks for your living thou in this season of primavera calls to us now.
In the soft earth beneath our dry feet, the earth she moves and moans anew, and we are called to plant our seedlings with sacred deeds of deepening hues.
Across the blue sky above our heads, the sun's warm rays come right to us. The wind lifts spirits from our kindling. Our love song reaches to newfound heights.
Primavera, la primavera, we give thanks for your living now. In this season of new beginnings, la primavera calls to us now.
The lilied springtime keeps coming forth, rebirthing us from dark places. With rain and misting, they grow taller as we grow deeper in good graces.
As we emerge as siblings of faith, the spring tells us to show we care for one another and our mother, and let it be our solemn prayer.
Primavera, la primavera, we give thanks for your living now. In this season of new beginnings, la primavera calls to us now. Primavera, la primavera, we give thanks for your living now. In this season of new beginnings, la primavera calls to us
Lovely. We thank the neighborhood spirit choir for that contribution to the service this morning. Well, Flower Communion Sunday, pre-pandemic, was a simple but joyous ritual. I used to see it coming and wonder what I could do to spice it up. What could we do this year to make the Flower Communion a little bit different, a little bit unusual? Now I see you don't really know you don't really know what you've got till it's gone. People bringing a single flower to the sanctuary, our children gathering them and assembling them into a rough bouquet. The music and poetry and metaphor linking our bouquet of flowers to the beautiful people who are filling the sanctuary. And at the end of the service, people departing with a flower that another person had brought. It was simple, it was reliable, and it was meaningful. And as I look now at the empty sanctuary, I mourn the loss of that ritual at the same time that I anticipate the joy of our next time that we can celebrate Flower Communion here in person. So let's hold that thought as we end our service today. And now Jessica will lead us in the closing hymn.
The words will be on your screen. When the summer sun is shining over golden land and sea, and the flowers in the hedgerow welcome butterflies summer, clouds of thunder bring the long-awaited rain, and the thirsty soil is moistened and the grass is green again. Then I long for summer sunshine, but I know that cloud and tear are a part of life's refreshment, like the rainbow's hopes and fears. I want to hear you sing loud and proud, last verse, in the cool. In the cool of summer evening, when the dancing insects play, and the garden, street, and meadow linger echoes of the day, then my heart is full of yearning, hopes and memories flood the whole of my being, reaching inwards to the corner of my soul. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. I'll now extinguish the chalice here in the sanctuary. The words I'm using are attributed to Findhorn Garden. I don't have a specific author, but you might want to Google Findhorn Garden. I knew nothing about this Scottish intentional community. Flowers unfold slowly and gently, bit by bit in the sunshine. A soul too must never be pushed or driven, but unfolds in its own perfect timing to reveal its true wonder and beauty. Our work is to be gardeners of the souls, wherever we are. Everywhere seeds are beginning to germinate, let us tend them with the greatest of care. They're very tender and delicate. Let's water them with love. Amen. Today we held our second consecutive virtual flower communion. And as we come to the end of the service, may we be reminded that even in the midst of pandemic and crisis, we're blessed with spirit restoring beauty in the flowers that bloom and in the faces that smile all around us. Once again, I extinguish the chalice here in the sanctuary, looking forward to the day that we can be together again in body as well as spirit. Thank you all who attended the service today by Zoom or by YouTube. And if you hang on, we will have our coffee hour now. First, we'll have an opportunity if you'd like to share joy or sorrow, then our coffee hour. And then we'll move on to the presentation at noon with Lars Osberg.